life. You know Paul, the guy who shaped most of Christian doctrines, he never really met Jesus in real life. His Jesus came from visions and dreams, and yet his version of the story is what Christians follow today. Isn't that wild?
Talk about Paul. Yes, Paul met the disciples of Jesus Christ. If you look at the book of Galatians chapter 2, he talked about meeting Cephas. That is Cephas, when Cephas was trying to behave like a Gentile. He met Cephas, that is Peter. The man that Christ built the church, onto this rock, I'll build my church. That is Cephas, that is Peter. And Peter again, the last chapter of his book, talked about Paul, that his doctrine is actually very difficult for people to hear. That's very difficult. Now let's talk about the teachings of Paul. Is Paul teaching a very strange gospel? No. Paul never spoke a very strange gospel. Why? Because number one, Paul talked about salvation that Christ brought him. What is it? Yes, salvation, yes, not through the law, but through the Spirit. That is actually the Spirit of God. That is actually through the Spirit of God. And again, Abraham received the promise through the Spirit. Yes, Abraham received the promise through faith, but not through law. That is what Paul is trying to preach. That through the law, we become dead to sin because of we have a law in us that allow us not to actually go against the law not to go against that, allows us to go against the law of God. Yes. So the only way is through the Spirit. If you become slave to the Spirit, we don't need the law, but we need that of the. We don't need what is of the law, but we need that of the Spirit. That of the Spirit is given to us through Jesus Christ. That is what Paul is trying to teach, and that's what Christ came to do. That if you look at he that is born of the flesh is of the flesh. Yes, that's when the law of the world actually control you. Yes, because of your born of the flesh. That was just Christ said. But he that is born of the Spirit is of the Spirit. Even John also says so, that he that is born of the Spirit is given power to become son of God. That's what the book of John says. That's what the book of John says. So Paul is trying to now explain it better, because number one, Paul is a lawyer. He's a Jew that understands what it means to be under the law. Look at he explained it better in the book of Romans. That where there is no law, there is no sin. But where there is law, we could recognize sin. We could know what sin truly means. That's what he's trying to say. But when we try to do what is good, but a law in us makes us to do what is bad. That's what Paul is trying to say. But the Spirit of Christ given to us through Jesus Christ. Yeah, because Jesus Christ said it again. Let's go give us the Spirit. Let's go direct us on what to do. Be our comforter. Yes, the Spirit of God given to us through Christ now makes us to not be under law, but to be under the grace. Paul's teaching is not contradicting Christ. It's not even bringing new message